OC World is made possible by the generous contributions of the Marisla Foundation, the Keith and Judy Swain Family Foundation, Orange County Community Foundation, the Cordoba Corporation, and viewers like you. Thank you. Hello and welcome to OC World. I'm your host, Joone Kim-Lopez. When was the last time you thought about water? Actually, when was the last time you turned on the tap and no water came out? Water is essential to life, economy, and our environment. We know this, but too often we take it for granted. That is, until we see the headlines about the water crisis that is threatening our way of life. As someone who works in the water, I can testify to the worsening conditions that are occurring more frequently than ever before. So what are we doing about it? Well, here in Orange County, we have a shining example of innovation and hope when it comes to water reliability. We are at the Orange County Water District right here in Fountain Valley. And joining me today is the General Manager, Michel Markus. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you very much, Joone.
For our viewers who are not familiar with the Orange County Water District, who are you and what do you do?
Well, we are what's referred to as a special district. So we're governed by a 10-member board of directors created in 1933 by the state. And our main goal in life is to protect the groundwater basin in North and Central Orange County. This groundwater basin provides 85% of the total water demands for 19 retail water agencies in that service area. So we need to make sure we have sources of supply. We need to make sure we're protecting the water quality. We have to do all of these things, and that's our mission. So you can really look at us as wholesalers of groundwater.
How many people do you serve?
We serve about 2.5 million people.
2.5 in Orange County.
Yeah.
Now the groundwater replenishment system, the shining example of innovation in water reliability, what exactly is that?
Well, it's what we refer to in the industry as a potable reuse project. So what we do is we take wastewater from the Orange County Sanitation District that normally would be discharged to the ocean. So it's highly treated wastewater. And instead of sending it to the ocean, we don't consider it a waste, we consider it a resource. We take the water, we run it through an advanced purification process, the quality of which is basically distilled water.
This is that water?
This is that water out of the plant, that's right. And then we take that water and we inject it into the ground along the coast and do a seawater barrier to keep the seawater from coming inland and contaminating the groundwater basin. And the rest of the water we pump up to our recharge facilities in Anaheim, about 14 miles from here in Fountain Valley. And then it goes into a percolation basin where it slowly seeps into the groundwater basin. So it provides us water supply reliability. Right now it provides about 35% of the total supply that we put into the groundwater basin.
So you're taking wastewater from our homes, kitchen, bathroom, you're treating it very high level, and then you put it back into the groundwater basin, pump it back out to drink.
Absolutely.
All right, well, there's a lot there. We need to go see actually how this is done. Are you ready to go take a look?
Let's go.
Okay. So this is a groundwater replenishment system facility.
Yes.
How big is this, and what did it take to actually make all this happen?
Well, it's very big. It's actually the world's largest potable reuse project. So this project will produce 130 million gallons of recycled water per day. And we take that water and we put it back into our groundwater basin, so it really becomes a part of our water supply here in northern Orange County.
And how many people does it serve and where?
We have about 2.5 million people. So the Orange County Water District, we manage a large groundwater basin. You can consider us wholesalers of groundwater. There's 19 retail water agencies that overlie the basin, and they're able to pump water out of the ground and serve it directly to their customers. In fact, the groundwater basin provides 85% of their total water demands. So it's a tremendous benefit for them. Groundwater is about half the cost of imported water, which is the water they have to purchase to supplement the groundwater. So it's a very big advantage for them financially, and what we need to do as a groundwater agency is try to provide a reliable source of groundwater and sustainably manage that groundwater supply.
And so that's just for the central and the northern part of Orange County, correct?
It is. Unfortunately, we can't cover all of Orange County because the groundwater basin just covers a certain geographic area, which extends to the west and the north of the county all the way down through the Irvine area.
And how long did it take to build this facility to its fullest?
To the full? Well, we actually started pilot testing the technology in the mid-1990s. So we were looking at brand new technology at that time. Microfiltration hadn't been used on wastewater before. Reverse osmosis, we're using a new technology, a new type of membrane, so that was new. And so we had to pilot test, make sure the technology worked, and then join with our partners next door, OC-SAN, develop that.
OC-SAN, for the viewers, what does that stand for?
OC-SAN, well, it's OC-SAN, the Orange County Sanitation District. What they do is they treat the wastewater to a certain level, so it goes through what's called a primary treatment, which is a settling process, and then secondary, which is a biological process. The water then is safe to be discharged to the ocean. But instead of discharging it to the ocean, we intercept it before they do that.
All of it?
Right now we're doing 100% of the recyclable flows from the Sanitation District. So we intercept it, we run it through this process, this advanced purification process, and then put it back into the groundwater basin where after about 6 months to a year, it's pumped out of the groundwater basin and served directly to the customers. Now, so we've been doing this for quite a long time, as mentioned. We started in the mid-90s. We built, the first phase of the project was a 70 million gallon per day facility. That went online in January of 2008. Our board then decided to build an initial expansion, which was a 30 million gallon per day increment. So we built that went online in May of 2015. So we were up to 100 million gallons in 2015. And then just recently here in April, we finished our final expansion, which was another 30 million gallons per day, which brings us to 130 million gallons per day, which is enough water for 1 million people.
Well, let's go inside and take a look.
Let's do it.
So now when we look at the processes here, what are we seeing before us right now?
Well, we're looking at the first step of the treatment process, which is called microfiltration. Microfiltration is a membrane treatment type system that filters out bacteria, protozoa, and suspended solids out of the water. And it's a fairly simple process. What we're looking at here is a membrane module. So this is, and inside are hollow fibers. There's about 15,000 hollow fibers inside of this plastic. And those hollow fibers are akin to a straw. A straw is a hollow fiber, right? So if you had a straw and you had tiny holes in the side of it, 1/300th the size of a human hair, and you put that in water and you pinch the bottom and sucked on the straw, the water would come from the outside through those tiny holes and then out the top of the straw. And anything larger than 0.2 microns stays on the outside of the straw. But over time, as you're sucking on that straw, the solids are building up on the outside of the straw, so you have to suck harder to bring the water through. So what happens is in the microfiltration cells, which we'll take a look at here in a minute, it goes through a backwash or an air scour. So we use air to stir up the contents of the tank, knocks the particles off the outside of the straw, and then it will continue to filter.
And how can one of these things last? When do you have to change them out?
But they'll last about 7 years, as long as we backwash every 21 minutes and we go through a chemical cleaning every 21 days, we'll get about 7-year lifetime on these membrane modules.
So a lot of these filtration processes are always energy intensive. So despite the rise of energy costs, it's still cheaper than imported water that we get from the Colorado and the Delta in Northern California.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, our energy usage in the plant, when you compare it to imported water, is we use about half of the energy that it takes to bring imported water into the basin. and about a third of the energy that it would take to desalinate seawater.
Well, certainly you're pride of Orange County, so let's go ahead and take a further look here. What do you got to show us next?
Well, we can take a stroll and take a look at the control building, I guess. The plant kind of operates itself, so it uses a very sophisticated software system to tell valves when to open, when to close, pumps going on and off, just the sequence at which things have to occur. And then the operators will monitor what's going on, and then if there's an alarm, they'll go out and they'll troubleshoot and they'll see what the issue are. But as you mentioned, we do operate 24/7. All of these gentlemen are highly certified and qualified to do what they do. And you're right, I mean, the plant wouldn't operate without them.
That's why I like the behind the scenes, because regardless of all the technology and everything that's out there, without actual people staying on top of it, it doesn't run. And sometimes we don't see that because it's behind the scenes. So
Yeah, and we'll always need that human element. I mean, AI will not take over, totally what we do. We rely on sophisticated software to operate the plant, but it does take these individuals being able to see what's going on, troubleshoot, and then solve the problem.
All right, well, let's go to the next phase of the treatment.
Okay.
Now this is a big area. We just came from your operations center, microfiltration, and now we are at the reverse osmosis part of the process.
Right, and the reverse osmosis, or RO, is really the second step in the process. So we started a microfiltration, we're going through reverse osmosis, and then we'll end up with the UV light. But this step of the process is really what I call the workhorse of the treatment process, because through reverse osmosis, you're removing any dissolved minerals, viruses, or pharmaceuticals in the water. So the only thing that's going to get through the reverse osmosis process are some very low-weight molecular organics. And those are destroyed through that final process, the UV light.
How many people work on this plant?
Our operations staff is about 60 people. So we have, you saw the operators, we have 5 operators per shift. We run 4 shifts. So that's a total of 20. And then the remainder are maintenance technicians, electricians, instrumentation technicians, that go around and do all the preventive maintenance so that we don't have breakdowns all the time. Or if there are issues, they'll be able to come out and fix them inside the plant.
All right, so how many of these are in here?
Well, if you look at it, there's blocks, if you can look at it in that sense. So we call those units, 1 unit of reverse osmosis. And 1 unit consists of 150 of those white tubes. Those white tubes are called pressure vessels. Inside of each pressure vessel, there's 7 reverse osmosis elements, and that's the actual membrane. So they're stuffed in there. And then what we do is these big pumps, each unit has its own pump that pushes the water through all of those RO elements inside those white tubes. Now each one of those units will treat 5 million gallons of water per day.
Okay.
So, we have a total of 27 of those RO units throughout the facility.
And you are fully now expanded. You can't expand anymore.
Not only we can't expand, but we're taking all of the recyclable wastewater from the Sanitation District right now. So they could not give us any more wastewater, which would allow us to treat more than what we're doing today.
So Central North County is the only part of California that's completely reusing all its wastewater?
Yes.
That's something to be proud of.
That's a true statement. It is something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations to that.
Thank you so much.
So how
Exactly
come
right.
everyone doesn't know about the groundwater replenishment system? I mean, we got the major amusement parks like Disneyland, major stadiums, but nobody knows about this, the largest of its kind in the world. How come?
We're very humble. No. I think as a water community, just in general, not just OCWD, but all water agencies, we don't do a very good job of educating the public and informing them as to what's going on and what the challenges are. The only time we hear there of challenges is when we get a lot of rain or we don't get any rain. And we've had those two extremes over the last 2 years. So that in itself is probably a good thing because it's brought water more to the minds of people.
Well, let's continue with the tour. So this is the ultraviolet area.
That is correct. This is the last step in the process. And it's UV light with hydrogen peroxide. So I mentioned that the reverse osmosis removes almost everything. There are some real small organic compounds that get through the reverse osmosis, and that's where the UV light comes in. So we have to destroy or remove to a certain limit something called NDMA, N-nitrosodimethylamine.
Okay, say that fast 10 times.
And yeah. And we have to remove it below 10 parts per trillion. So we're not talking about parts per million, parts per billion, parts per trillion.
Wow.
A single drop of water in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And the UV light can do that. So inside of these vessels, these 3 vessels that are stacked one on the other, the water goes through each one of those vessels, exposed to that intense light. And that
For how
light,
long?
literally seconds, maybe about 10 seconds is all. But it's exposed to these photons of light that break the chemical bonds of the compound and render it into a neutral compound. So that's the ultraviolet light part. Now, some compounds go right through the light, so that's why we add the peroxide. The peroxide breaks down through photolysis into what's called a hydroxyl radical. I don't mean to throw a lot of chemistry at you.
You just want to show
now.
off.
And this hydroxyl radical will chemically combine with certain compounds and render them neutral. So 2 things going on in there. That's why we call it UV light with hydrogen peroxide.
So it's all happening in here in these.
The final step, right? It goes to the bottom one up, out the top, and then it's gone. And by the time it's gone through this multi-step process, we've taken secondary effluent, water that's safe enough to be discharged in the ocean, and we've turned it into distilled water.
That you can drink.
That we can drink.
Are we going to do that?
We're going to take a taste.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So follow me.
I'm thirsty. I hope it tastes good.
It will.
Okay, so we're coming to the final stage, but what are we looking at here? This looks different shades of watercolor.
It does, and I call this the IQ test because we're going to take a taste of the water from one of these 3 spigots. So I'll let you decide. No, we use this as an educational tool. And the middle sink represents the water that's gone through the microfiltration and into the reverse osmosis. And then the reverse osmosis separates it into the pure water over here and the reject or the brine over here.
So this is all the bad stuff that came out of it.
That's all the bad stuff and that's all the good stuff.
Now, is that water we can drink?
We can certainly take a taste of it, yes. So,
Okay, but before we do that though,
yeah.
What does this mean for reliability? Because we talked about how reusing this water makes more water available for people within and outside of Orange County.
Right.
So if we didn't have this facility, what would happen?
Well, what would happen is we would have to lower the amount of pumping out of the basin because groundwater levels would drop. And by us lowering the amount that can be pumped out of the ground, it means that the retailers have to offset that with imported water.
So it's just taking more imported water from outside of Southern California.
Right. So by doing this, by recycling, and it allows us to become more sustainable, less reliant on imported water.
And how long has this plant been running?
The plant has been operational since January 2008.
And how many people have come through this tour, you think?
thousands, tens of thousands of people have come through and toured the facility.
Well, I know we're getting ready to taste this, so let's grab one more cup because I never want to hog up drink. I'm gonna get the executive producer of this show. Scott, where are you, Scott? Come on. Grab a cup.
Plastic cup.
More the merrier. Get your water. We're gonna do a taste test.
Cheers.
Cheers to reliability.
Cheers.
Okay. That's good.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you have known that this went through all this process and actually came from wastewater?
Never. Never.
You would drink this?
I would definitely drink this, absolutely.
That's what all the people in Orange County, the north part of the county anyways, are drinking. So
Right.
This is great. Well, we really appreciate the tour. What a great facility. And it's just amazing to have this right here in Orange County. And thank you for being on
It
our
is.
show, OC World.
Thank you for inviting me, June.
Thank you. One more cheers. Yay. Well, that was a great tour with Mike Markus, the General Manager of Orange County Water District. And now we are here with Cathy Green, the Board President of Orange County Water District. Welcome to the show, Cathy.
I am, thank you.
We just got done with a tour of your groundwater replenishment system. Wow.
Were you impressed?
Very impressed.
Good.
Why is it that not everyone in Orange County knows about Orange County Water District and the facility that you have here?
I'm not sure. It's certainly not from lack of trying. We go out, even if there's just one person who wants a tour or wants to know about it, we do that. We started that way back in 2000. And at the time we brought on groundwater replenishment, recycling wastewater was not a popular thing. And so we decided we would be patient, we would contact people, we would talk to them, we would show them. And that's what we have done from way back then to even now today.
So when you were talking about this project,
Yes.
before it was even built, did you get any oppositions from people because of the public acceptance? I mean, we heard about toilet to tap and things like that. Do you get a lot of opposition or resistance then and now?
Now, no. Then, yes, we did. I was not on this board at that time. I was on the Orange County Sanitation Board. But it was a brilliant idea. And we decided if people understood, if people knew, if we could contact the scientists, the health people, the doctors, the nurses, the people in the community, the environmentalists, everyone, and really explain the process, we would make it happen. And we did. But it took a long, long time. We started 10 years before we started construction.
And now you're at your final expansion.
We are.
What's next?
What's next? Well, I'm not sure. We're going to have to wait and see. We are looking at a lot of things. We have no more wastewater. We have used all the reclaimable wastewater that OC San has.
Really?
Yes, every drop we have used. And so we cannot expand anymore on this project. But that doesn't mean we can't look at other things, and we will.
So now that Orange County has this facility, does that mean everyone that lives in Orange County can just use as much water as they want because we have this facility that's reusing and retreating and making it available?
Well, I'm not sure that's true. I think all of us need to be careful with our water usage. None of us want to waste water. And in fact, our residents don't. They've been very, very good about being careful with their water usage. We use much less water now than we did 20 years ago. Just unbelievable. So all of us need to do our part, but we have made, with this last expansion, we have enough groundwater replenishment for 1 million people.
That's amazing. So how much did this whole project cost, the groundwater replenishment system?
About $1 billion. Lots of money. And we have had some grants, some loans. but that was $1 billion dollars that our board felt was important to spend on this project.
And it's paying off.
Yes, yes, our citizens are extremely lucky. They have water during supply cuts, during drought. All the time we make sure that they're taken care of.
The groundwater replenishment system is an impressive project. And to have this in Orange County, in your opinion, what is the significance of something like this here in Orange County, for Orange County and maybe the state of California and even beyond?
We have seen that worldwide, nationwide, and in our state, people are replicating what we're doing or trying to. And we absolutely welcome anybody to come. We share all of our information with anybody and anybody who wants. And in fact, when we started our project, Singapore came to our district, studied everything, took all the information back, and they got online before we did.
Well, Orange County is certainly making an impact in the water world across the world. Well, thank you for joining us, Cathy. And thank you to our viewers for joining us today at OC World. And today we got a glimpse into the water world in Orange County. Despite all the rain that we see sometimes, we know that there is climate change. And in these drastic conditions, we all have to do our part to be responsible. Agencies such as Orange County Water District and many others are doing exciting programs, water recycling, many others, to keep our water safe and reliable. But also, we all individually can do our part by being efficient in our water use every day. So until next time, stay safe and be well.